so easy to eat healthy, and what you're eating benefits not only you, but the environment too. Find a location near you or order online. Go to naturesplate.com. That's naturesplate.com. Welcome back to One Life Radio, everyone. This is Bernadette with Anthony Cernelia. I have Dr. Mike McFarland in studio with me, Lexi Brinkley, Aviana Barrientos, and a very special guest, Dr. Judd Brewer, MD and PhD. Dr. Judd Brewer is an internationally known thought leader in the field of habit change and the science of self-mastery, having combined over 20 years of experience with mindfulness training with his scientific research. He is the Director of Research and Innovation at Brown University's Mindfulness Center and Associate Professor of Psychiatry at the medical school as well. Dr. Brewer has developed novel mindfulness programs for habit change, including smoking, stress eating, and anxiety, and has studied their underlying brain mechanisms. His work has been featured on 60 Minutes, at TED.com, in Time Magazine, Forbes, NPR, and the BBC, among others. He is the author of the book, The Craving Mind, From Cigarettes to Smartphones to Love, and Why We Get Hooked on How We Can Break Bad Habits. You can follow him on Twitter at Judd Brewer. That's JUDBREWER. Such an honor, Dr. Brewer. Thank you for coming on One Life Radio.
No, thanks for having me.
Well, so how did you get started in studying mindfulness?
At the beginning of medical school, I was suffering myself. I was stressed out. And started meditating and, just realized that I could actually combine something that I was doing personally with my real interest in helping other people.
Well, when I sat down to read the book, and I've read almost all of it, and it's so good. It's so well written. I can't even tell you. I want to give it to everyone because I think everyone suffers from some sort of addiction. That's what I believe, or at least maybe a few bad habits. But are human beings the only species vulnerable to addiction? That was a question that I wasn't sure that I just wanted to know the answer to.
Well, it's a great question. I think we're certainly the only species that can refine products to make them more addictive. Like, coca leaves by themselves are not that addictive, but when you refine out the cocaine, pretty addictive.
Yeah.
Tobacco leaves, actually nicotine is a poison, but we make it into cigarettes. Social media, we make that sticky too. So I don't know any other animal species that's doing what we're doing.
Uh-huh.
If they did, it'd be an interesting question to explore, but they're not doing it as of yet.
Well, and so that leads me to this. So how are habits and addictions different, or are they the same thing at the core?
Yeah, I really think of them on the same continuum, and it really goes back to the survival mechanism, which was set up to help us remember where food is. There's this trigger, a behavior, and a reward. So, if you see food, you eat the food, then your stomach sends this dopamine signal to your brain that says, remember what you ate and where you found it. So it's really set up to help us form context-dependent learning to remember where food is. Mm-hmm. Yet in modern day, when food's plentiful, and our brain learns, I can eat, we're in the middle of an obesity epidemic. We learn to eat to feel good, not when we're hungry, but when we're stressed or anxious. We're in the middle of an opioid epidemic. We learn to take pills to numb ourselves from physical, emotional pain. Same for tech. We learn to look at cute pictures of puppies on Instagram when we're bored. So that's where it's just really hijacking this reward-based learning system.
Well, I've joked about this for years, and I don't know if you heard the opening. I joked about, I think I have a lot of addictions. I just like to mix them up. So when I see one getting out of control, I embrace another. But I try to keep a balance, I just try to keep a balance, and I don't know if I'm just, weird, or if that's how most people are. What do you think?
I think that's I think we're all weird, but in very cute, unique ways. So if you think of addiction, I like to think of the simple definition of continued use despite adverse consequences. And that's what helps differentiate when we're learning something that's helpful for survival versus something that's getting in the way. Like if we had to relearn how to walk and tie our shoes and eat every day, we'd be exhausted by lunch.
Yeah. Well, I recently came to the conclusion that I was shopping too much. I was shopping too much, buying too many clothes. And I said to myself, Bernadette, you need to knock that off. You've got enough clothes. And this is I'm talking to myself here. I'm serious. This is the conversation I have with myself where I told myself, you've got to stop that or you're going to be out of control. This is not good. Get yourself under control.
So how well did telling yourself not to shop so much work?
Well, for me, it's worked pretty well.
Good. Yeah. So you have a well-developed prefrontal cortex.
Oh, nice.
For many of us, it's not quite that simple. Willpower has actually is more and more being shown to be more of a myth than actual muscle. Some people, it sounds like you've got a nicely endowed prefrontal cortex.
Nice.
Can do this. But for a lot of folks, especially when we get stressed out and our prefrontal cortex goes offline, we revert back to our old habits. And so this is like why yo-yo dieting is yo-yo dieting. We're good for a while and we're on track, and then we have some major life event and we go off the rails, and then we're back up to that old weight, and then we beat ourselves up over it. That's why it's called the yo-yo. So that's been a really interesting piece of exploration for my lab in particular is, if this willpower piece for so many of us doesn't work, can we actually hack the same reward-based learning system that is getting us in trouble in the first place?
Mm-hmm. Well, I have to tell you, and I want to thank you, actually. This was part of what I wanted to say to you today, for the incredible research that you've done and all the people that you have helped, and that your book will continue to help. The research that you have done is really pretty fascinating.
I am very fortunate to be able to do this work. Thank you. I get up every morning and I'm excited to do this work. We've even taken this beyond in-person training where we're even delivering it in context because, I realized, my patients don't learn to smoke in my office. They don't learn to stress eat in my office. So can I bring my office to them? And we've made, app-based trainings for smoking, eating, and even anxiety, and are doing a bunch of clinical studies with those now. We've actually we just had last 2 years ago now, we published a study showing that our Eat Right Now program reduced craving-related eating by 40%. So this is an app-based mindfulness training that's really helping people have those cravings and not habitually act on them. So that type of thing, I'm really excited about that. Get this.
It's a fascinating book. It's so good. Like I told my daughter, you have to read this book. And I don't know, addiction is it. It's okay. So here's a great question: does it run in certain families?
Well, I think genetics play a role in everything. So certainly some people have the genes that make them more susceptible to addictions than others. Absolutely.
Well, you said about my frontal cortex was well developed. I think of the famous smoking story with my mother and my father. It happened in our kitchen like 40 years ago. I was a little girl and I witnessed my mother and father, who rarely fought, get into an argument. It wasn't real bad, but I remember looking at both of them and wondering what was going to happen. So here's what happened, Dr. Brewer. My father was smoking a cigarette while he was doing the dishes, and my mother came in the kitchen and she said, "Al, I wish you'd quit smoking and get that cigarette out of your mouth." And he turned and he looked at her and he said, "I really wish that you would lose some weight." And he was never mean like that, but I guess she might have, triggered something that made him, he was sensitive about. And so she said, I don't know what he said. I'll quit smoking right now, but I bet you'll never lose the weight. And I swear he quit smoking at that very moment, and he never touched another cigarette again. It's like a famous quit smoking story in our family. Wow. None of us are really smokers, but my dad, he was old school New York Italian, and he grew up with like a cigarette hanging out of his mouth.
Wow. So he's like Mr. Spock. He can be like, "That's highly illogical, Captain. I'm just going to quit."
So how did he do that? How did he do that? Was it just sheer will that he was going to, be right over my mom, or was it because he had a well-developed frontal cortex?
It could have been both, where he had this well-developed cortex and then he had a really strong reason to stick with it.
It's a great story, though, right?
It is an absolutely fabulous story.
Okay, so can you talk about everyday addictions and how these are hurting us? So many people are hurting with everyday addictions, like smartphones, for example.
Right. So smartphones, whether it's smartphones, eating, these things that aren't thought of as classical addictions, same habit formation, same reward-based learning system. It's just a different thing. And so the first way that we start is to help people really just understand what these things are, like where they're getting into trouble, and to map it out. That's actually the first step of each of these EPIAS trainings that we deliver is, helping people map out what's the trigger, what's the behavior, what's the result. So if it's stress eating, seeing what triggered it, and then importantly, helping them see the actual result of the behavior, because reward-based learning is based on rewards, not on the behaviors themselves. Mm-hmm. So if we help people really bring awareness to what the result is or what the effects of the behavior are, they start to become disenchanted naturally. So, for example, with eating, when I have people really pay attention, when they eat that second or third or fourth cookie, it's actually different. The reward value feels different than the first cookie. And, by the fourth one, they're like, oh, this is disgusting.
Yeah.
Or so that's really the trick. It's not even a trick. It's really just tapping right into awareness, which we all have. Mm-hmm. It's just using it in a good way.
And that's what this book presents so well. It's so logical. It's well presented. It's well executed, taking you through the steps and understanding what addiction really is and how you really can overcome it. Let me ask you this before we go to break, and then you're going to come back. What are the common elements of all addictions? Are there any?
Common elements, I would say, certainly we get triggered by things. And then on a broad category level, behavior. So, we might smoke cigarette, we might eat food, we might even get anxious, which can even have addictive qualities. So that behavior is a core element, and you just substitute whatever behavior it is. And then the other piece is the result of that behavior, which then drives future behavior, whether it's dopamine release or getting excited or whatever. So those are the three core elements as a trigger, a behavior, and a result. I
can't wait to continue this conversation. We're going to go to break. Everyone, Dr. Judd Brewer is going to stay with us, speaking about The Craving Mind, his great new book that he's written. Stay tuned. You're listening to One Life Radio.
Did you know that the U.S. Department of Health actually patented cannabinoids as antioxidants and neuroprotectants? So clearly there is promise for CBD to help with a variety of issues. Honest Hemp's U.S.-grown CBD system is fully tested for purity and safety. For daily balance, Honest Hemp has the best-tasting CBD tinctures available. Their Super Breath Blast delivers near immediate relief and relaxation while on the go. And the Magic Balm works wonders for your muscles, joints, and temples. So relax and feel better naturally with the Honest Hemp CBD system, available at honesthemp.com.
If you haven't heard, I'm always searching for ways to supplement magnesium. Magnesium is a vital mineral that enhances your natural cellular and electrical impulses to help you sleep better, smooth your muscles, and improve heart and brain health. Magnesium also helps you to become mentally and physically stronger and resilient to illness. Sun Warrior's Ionic Magnesium Complex is sourced from a non-GMO island seabed, concentrated by the sun and harvested naturally without the use of chemicals or solvents. We like to refer to it as yoga in a bottle, so pick up yours today at sunwarrior.com. That's sunwarrior.com.
Hi, this is Sean Wells, certified sports nutritionist, registered dietitian, and biochemist. One Life Radio and I are so excited about the launch of our Thorne dispensary. Thorne is the most used brand by medical practitioners as a result of its industry-leading quality control. Further, Thorne has a team of doctors, chemists, and dietitians formulating their products to be the gold standard. There are very few products I would personally endorse as a clinician, nutritional biochemist, and the world's greatest formulator, but Thorne is atop my short list. Visit OneLifeRadio.com to shop my hand-selected vitamins and supplements, including FloraPro LP Probiotic, Berberine 500, MethylGuard Plus, and Resveratrol in optimized resveratrol. Be sure to click our banner on OneLifeRadio.com and create an account to receive your exclusive 20% discount along with free shipping today.
Do recent media reports of unvaccinated children causing the return of measles have you worried? Could this manufactured media push be another symptom of the epidemic of fake news plaguing our nation? Let Texans for Vaccine Choice offer this cure for measles mania. 98% of students enrolled in Texas schools are up to date on their measles vaccine. We invite you to learn more about protecting your rights as we rally and fight for our freedom. For more information, go to TexansForVaccineChoice.com. Again, that is TexansForVaccineChoice.com.
EarthX, the world's largest environmental expo, returns to Fair Park April 26th to the 28th, featuring green exhibitors, speakers, an interactive virtual reality zone, film festival, tiny houses, a kids zone, auto show, and music. Register at earthx.org.